Hello, everybody. I'm John. This is Strategic Investing, and obviously, we have a lot to talk about here with Xtract One today. We got, just to start it off, a great day for the stock today. I really had a kind of a busy day at work. Wasn't really checking the stock. My brother texted me, and it was crazy when I opened up my phone and saw what was happening with the stock. And obviously, that is mostly a result of the announcement that we got today that they have secured contracts with MLB, NHL, and NBA teams. Maybe, hopefully, we'll get some extra context, some information around that in the earnings call tomorrow. But yeah, it was a great day, and it looks like based on these earnings that we just got, we might have another nice day for the stock tomorrow. So let me kind of jump into this. I do want to note that I will not be able to cover the call tomorrow. I will be busy this weekend. I'm really just trying to make a quick video right now to cover just kind of the earnings report here. But maybe I'll get to that Monday or Tuesday. I'll put out a video on the actual earnings call. And hopefully kind of, again, we get some extra context around these earnings, but also around those contract announcements that they announced today. But with that said, let's jump into it here and let's check out some of these numbers and look at this report. So I have here just kind of the last 3 quarters. I like putting it on the spreadsheet here. I can kind of then make some charts and analyze it a little better. But what we have, platform backlog, 13.8 million. We have Xtract finally working its way down to 0 now. So we'll see if that kind of stays there, if it picks back up. Again, main focus right now, especially for the newer investors, really is the platform segment of the business. That's kind of really the main focus, the main revenue driver, obviously, as you can see. And so that's what I focus on in these earnings reports and things like that. So total backlog, obviously the same as the platform backlog. Signed agreements pending increased by $2.8 million. Now, it may have actually increased by actually a little more than that because, some of this signed agreements pending might have been pulled into revenue and into backlog. So we'll have to see. Maybe I'm sure on the earnings call they'll give us the exact bookings number. Maybe we'll get an estimate here in a second. But that is obviously a good thing to see, that increasing as well, almost 30% there, quarter over quarter, bringing total backlog, including signed agreements pending here, to $26.6 million. And so bookings, actually, I just got as I was recording this video here, I just got kind of the notification they released it. Looks like bookings for the quarter was $9.5 million. So that is obviously a phenomenal bookings there. That means they probably pulled a lot of that signed agreements pending into, revenue and backlog, and then are replenishing it with that and then adding on top of, and that's where we see the increase to the 13.8 million, in backlog, the signed agreements pending, and the revenue number kind of all contributing to that 9.5 million in bookings. So phenomenal bookings for the quarter. Revenue, getting into that, obviously a nice bump from the last quarter, $4.5 or $4.6 million there in revenue for the platform, $98,000 for Xtract, bringing the total revenue there to about $4.7 million. We have cost of revenue here. Cost of revenue, kind of interesting on the Xtract segment. Maybe we'll get some extra color around that in the earnings call, but cost of revenue for the Xtract segment was actually like 40% higher than the revenue itself. Not sure what's going on there, but again, not really the main focus of the business right now, but still kind of interesting there, and that kind of affecting overall gross margin at 58%. If you look at platform gross margin specifically, pretty much the same as last quarter, about a 1% difference there. Again, kind of the main reason I think we're seeing this decline from the 67% down into the 61 and 60%, from what I can tell, is probably looking at more partner channel sales here, which obviously they have to compensate their channel partners that are reselling the product and doing things like that. So lower margin, but again, we're seeing a higher revenue here. So it's a trade-off there, but still, this is a great revenue number, and we're looking at a great gross profit here, growing nicely from the last couple of quarters to $2.7 million. Expenses stayed relatively flat, not too much of an increase. Operating expenses only about less than $3 million there, or I'm sorry, less than $300,000. So that is nice to see. And then we get a loss that declined nicely from the last quarter, back around the range of first quarter to $2.7 million there. So overall, pretty solid income statement there. Again, $4.6 million, definitely good to see on that platform revenue line. Some of the other just interesting things to touch on, we're seeing more countries like France added to the revenue segment as far as the geographical areas where Xtract is getting revenue from. So expanding internationally, continuing to do that. Again, that's also why probably some of that gross margin is coming down, because as we all know, it is more expensive to kind of sell internationally, especially when you're probably working through partner channels, and again, you have to compensate those partners, so that lowers your overall margins on the sale. Actually, just to go back here, so cash is at $9.7 million there. So that's where we're sitting after that raise and after this quarter. So I'd say looking good, especially with the way that the revenue is growing here, and if that continues, which looking at backlog growing, looking at these signed agreements pending growing, no reason to think that it's going to stop anytime soon. So we're looking good. Oh, and actually, that reminds me, one more thing to touch on here. If we go back to their backlog. So the less than 1 year that they expect to collect as far as the overall backlog, that has bumped up to almost $6 million there, which means that, we don't know exactly the timeline within that. And because, some of their contracts that they initially got back in 2020 are actually starting to fall off and then will be renewed. So some of this is a little murky, but we can probably say roughly that if that's what they expect to collect in less than 1 year, then maybe about a quarter of that is what we should expect every quarter in, what we could consider close to recurring revenue. And so that would be about 1.5 million in recurring revenue per quarter that we're looking at. And so, again, going back to these financials here, right? That means, we can probably fill in just right away. And this is the beauty of the subscription, of the SaaS business model, is it can be very predictable, especially once you start growing that backlog, and that backlog becomes a larger and larger portion of your revenue. This is going to get very nice as this backlog continues to grow into the high teens and the 20s. And we're going to see a very nice increase into just that steady recurring revenue that they're bringing in from the subscription contracts, and then from the subscription portion of the upfront contracts, which would be like the support and maintenance and things like that. So setting us up for a nice next quarter. Obviously, those contracts that we got from the DHS, it'll be interesting to see what we hear on the earnings call, how much of that we can expect to kind of trickle in over the next quarter or so. And overall, really happy with the earnings. Obviously, very happy with the announcement today and the stock performance. And hopefully we get another green day tomorrow. So anyway, if you guys have any questions, comments, anything that you think I left out that was important or missed, definitely leave that in the comments below. Other than that, I will see you guys next time. Congrats to everybody that made some money today, and have a great day. Have a great weekend. See ya.